Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Paul, I'm with the DiceyReview.com, and today we're going to be looking at the one-player game Finished by designer Friedman Freeze, released by Stronghold Games in the US. Finished comes with a deck of cards numbered 1 through 48, 7 coffee markers, and 10 candy markers. To prepare the game, place the 7 coffee markers near the play area, place 7 of the 10 candy tokens near the play area, and then prepare the deck. To prepare the deck, place the card numbered 48 on the bottom and then shuffle the rest of the cards and place them on top of the 48. It may also be helpful for players to keep this provided glossary close just in case they have any questions about the actions on specific cards. Now before we start playing, it might be helpful to explain some of the different playing areas that will be explained in the rulebook. Over here to the left we have our active stash of coffee and sweets. To the right we have the reserved stash. These can't be used but can be gained through actions during the game. The shuffled stack of cards is known as the draw stack, and the rulebook mentions that it's a little bit easier to hold these cards in your hand than leave them placed on the table. That will become evident during the explanation of gameplay. Throughout the game, cards will be dealt face up into what the game calls the present area. Cards in the present area can be sorted. There may also be cards that will be placed into the future area above the present area up here. That can happen through a number of different gameplay actions. Once cards are sorted the way that players want them to be, they will be moved down into the past area, and this is going to be down below your active area. The goal of the game is to sort cards from 1 to 48 in a numerical stack. Any cards that would be sorted are placed on the finished pile, which will be right here. So now that we've looked at setup and we've talked a little bit about what you're trying to do in the game, let's look at how a turn works and what the objective is. At the start of every player's turn, they will deal out 3 cards into their play area. A number of things can potentially happen when players deal out these 3 cards. Cards will have potential actions printed on them that will be shown in these boxes here. Some of the actions will be immediate, like this candy or this scoring arrow, and some actions have to be activated with candy. These actions will show the candy symbol in the bottom right of the card. When you draw a card that shows a candy, you immediately gain a candy from the reserve stash into your active stash. So in this instance, we would be able to take one of our candies over here and place them in our active stash. We now have 8 candies to use on our turn. In addition to immediately gaining any candy shown with these actions here, anytime a card comes up that can score, that would happen immediately. The goal of the game is to create a stack in numerical order from 1 to 48. So, as you can see, this card showing the 1 is the first card that will immediately be scored. So in this instance, if a player had dealt the 1 face up into their present area, they would immediately place it in their finished stack. When a card is placed in the finished stack, you immediately draw a replacement for that card. After gaining any candy printed on the cards and scoring any cards in numerical order, players will have the ability to spend 1 sweet from their stash to activate any available actions on face-up cards. Only the cards that are face-up in the present area can be activated for use with their ability. After players have activated all of the abilities that they want to by placing sweets from their active stash onto the cards, the players will sort the cards in the numerical order that they want and then place them into the past area. Now when cards are moved into the past area, any candy remaining on those cards is removed and placed in the reserve stash. If there are already cards in the past area, the new cards will be placed at the end of that line, or to the right of them. If players are able to move cards into the past in a sequence, so for instance, like we're showing here, 41, 42, and 43, they'll gain a candy bonus for doing that. The players get to receive sweets equal to the sequence minus 1. So in this instance, we have a sequence of 3, 41, 42, and 43. So if we minus that by 1, the player would receive 2 sweets from the reserve stash. After players have moved their cards into the past area, they will remove cards from the left end of the line until there are only 3 showing. So in this instance, 37, 21, and 9 would all be removed from the past area. These cards are placed in the exact order that they were removed, at the bottom of the deck. In this way, players will sort through this deck multiple times to try and sort it into the correct sequence. Whenever players reveal the 48 card, the round is close to over. Whenever this card is moved to the past, players will consume 1 cup of coffee, placing the token in the box and removing it from the game. If players need to drink another cup of coffee and there are no coffee tokens remaining, the player has fallen asleep and they lose. If players are able to completely sort the deck by placing the 48 on top of all of the other sorted cards, they will win the game. Now that we've looked at all of the different steps that a player will take during their turn, let's look at some of the specific actions that can be taken by activating these cards. To activate a card, a player will place any one of their suites on the symbol shown. When a card is activated, it will perform a different action based on the picture shown in the bottom text screen. These 2 cards will allow players to draw more cards from the deck and place them in the present area. So in this instance, this will allow players to draw 1 more card and place it in the present area. This card, if activated, will allow players to draw 2 cards and place them in the present area. As you can see, these 2 cards will increase your ability to sort cards correctly and give you more options and more cards that can be activated later during the round. This card, showing the purple action with the arrow, allows you to place cards directly from the present area onto the bottom of the stack. So for instance, a player could place a candy right here, sort these cards however they want to. So for instance, they may want to switch this 7 and this 9 so that it would be in the correct sequence. And then players could then place all of these cards directly onto the bottom of the stack without having to first send them to the past area. Now that we've looked at those actions, let's look at some other actions that players can take with these cards. This action allows you to exchange cards. You could draw 1 card from the stack, gain any benefit, so in this instance, 1 candy, and then you would place 1 of the remaining face-up cards on top of the draw stack. Now maybe the player wants to draw the 12 again, so they could take this 12 and place it on top of the stack of cards and fill in these like so. This card allows players to send cards into the past and draw new cards. So for instance, they could activate this by placing the candy there, place any 2 cards that they wish into the past, putting them down on the stack below, and then draw 2 new cards to replace the cards they just got rid of. Next, we need to talk about future cards. There are 2 cards shown in the middle of the table here that will allow you to put cards into the future. The first is this card showing number 12. To activate this card, a player would put a piece of candy onto the card, and then they could move any 1 card from this present area that they wanted to into the future. So for instance, the player could move this 12 up into the future area. When a card is in the future area, players cannot use the abilities on that card, and when a card is moved into the future area, any candy that was on that card remains on the card. After the current cards are removed from the present area and a new set of cards is dealt, the card in the future area would be added to this new set. So for instance, this card could be pulled down and sorted with the rest of these new cards. This card is slightly different from this 1 future area card. This card allows a player to move all of the present cards into the future area. The cards that are in the future area can't be sorted and their actions can't be used. After doing this, a player would then draw 3 new cards to replace the cards that they just moved into the future area. Essentially, by using this action, you're pushing work off to 1 future turn. Players can activate this card, pushing cards into the future area, more than once. If this were to happen, a player would place a candy onto this card and then shift these new cards into a row right below the first row. There are now 2 rows in the future area. Once again, 3 new cards would be dealt to the present area, and any immediate bonuses would be gained. In this instance, the players would gain 1 candy. After the cards in the present area are sorted and placed into the past, the first row of the future area would move down and become the new present area. This would happen instead of the player drawing 3 new cards. Once all future rows had been resolved, 3 new cards would be dealt as usual. There are a couple more actions and more detailed notes about what each card does in the glossary, I would recommend that players read through this book whenever they first get the game started, but at least showing you some of the actions that we've shown you will help you get started with your first game. Alright everybody, that's our video. Thanks so much for watching. We hope that the video was helpful and we hope that it was informative. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email us at thedicey@gmail.com. If you want to hear more from the Dicey Review, you can check out our podcast. It's under the Dicey Review at iTunes, Stitcher, and any other podcast app that you might use. If you want to go to our website to read more of our written reviews, thedicey.review.com has all that there. And you can always connect with us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thedicey-review, and we also have a guild at Board Game Geek. You can check us out there. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.